Okay, this is a little bit of a crazy and ambitious idea, but if you're watching this video, it kind of worked out.
In any war, there are calms between storms. There will be days when we lose faith, days when our allies turn against us. But the day will never come that we forsake this planet and its people.
So you've possibly seen photos where a frame of a movie scene is held up right at the location where the movie was shot and it perfectly lines up with that scene. Well, I was wondering if this translates also into the video world, and luckily being located in Chicago where a bunch of movies were shot, some of my favorite ones, we kind of tried it out now, and it kind of serendipitously came together with a motion control system. And in this video, we're just going to explore how we tried it out, what worked for us, what didn't, the mistakes we made, the challenges we ran into, so that you don't make them if you want to try it out. And I really like this idea because it's a technical but yet also very creative and a magically coming together kind of challenge. That doesn't make sense, but we already have a take of that where I say way better, so let's go on. Alright, now we are here at one of the locations where they shot The Dark Knight. In fact, at this location here was the first on-screen appearance of Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Why so serious?
The Dark Knight is one of my favorite movies, definitely my favorite superhero movie. So let's talk about what you need to keep in mind as you arrive at your location and start setting up your shot. It's basically 4 basic things you need to keep in mind. Alright, now we are at Calder's Flamingo here, downtown Chicago still. There's a scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and it's this art construction here by Calder, I think that's what his name is. And the tricky thing is here, if you see the lines on the images, you try to figure out what angle, when you approach this, you try to first figure out what angle they shot from, and especially if you have a lot of lines and architecture and symmetry in it, it helps, but it's also tricky because you need to be even more precise as you line up the shot. So you go basically around and they go down on your knees and you're like, okay, I think that must be the angle, with all the lines lining up perfectly where they shot it from, and then you position your frame in it and position your camera. So it's a little tricky, it's a little bit experimentation, but it's definitely working out, hopefully. There's something a little off, but I think the camera needs to go a little lower, but like, it's close. Next, you want to select the right focal length and have it match the actual shot so that the compression of the image is the same or similar. It's a little bit trickier when you have an image or the movie was shot on anamorphic lenses, because the lines in the background, the bokeh and the image is a little bit differently set up than spherical lenses. Next is the depth of field, and when I initially set it out to shoot and sketched out this kind of setup in my head, I was thinking that we should pick a very similar depth of field as the scene was shot in. But because you have to position the frame very close to your lens, you actually want to pick a very narrow aperture, a high aperture number with a wide depth of field, so that both the frame in front as well as the background of the scene are fairly sharp and the lines line up nicely. And lastly, you want to pick also relatively the same time of day as the shot was filmed. All right, maybe we almost filmed a crash here, but that's certainly a little bit out of your control. But if you can, try to figure out maybe the same lighting conditions as the scene was shot at. We may need to wait for like some cloud coverage at some point. All right now we're here on LaSalle Bridge, which is in the heart of Chicago and also the location where Transformers, I think Age of Darkness was shot. And on this bridge here, right here, Optimus Prime defeated, how are they called? Autobots? What are they called?
Autobots, yeah.
But the bad ones. The Autobots are the good ones.
No.
Decepticons. Decepticons, you just, okay. Decepticons. So on this bridge, Optimus Prime beat the crap out of a Decepticon and really nailed it. But given you are working in an outside environment with so many factors outside of your control, like on this bridge, there's cars passing by all the time, everything is shaking, and hey, we're in the Windy City, so you want to print these photos that when you're using them on cardboard, some sort of foam board, so that it's stable. And Brandon, our engineer here, built like a little contraption with a clamp and a 15mm rod so that it can be mounted on the Arc 2, and so it looks kind of nice and kind of a little bit like of a shitty rig, but it's working out for us. So key is figure out a setup so that you can mount your photos easily and they don't flap around in the wind. But that would be cool. Yeah, I think I should be in the shot. I think it's cool. What makes this idea really stand out is the aspect of motion. So once you lined up your shot perfectly, you want to select and save that framing as your second keyframe, and then find the right first keyframe. So you move your motion control system and try to bring in some interesting motion, try to set the scene right, try to bring in some different angles so that it basically all comes together, and then boom, you just hit both motion controllers, if you have two at your disposal like we do right now, at the same time, and then it all comes magically together. One thing we figured out during the shoot is actually that you want to actually illuminate and put a light on your image, on your frame, because usually it's brighter outside and the images are usually a little bit darker. Also, what we figured out is bring charged lamps and lights, otherwise you need to do it on the go. Well, you can take this obviously also to the next level by, instead of having a printed frame, use an iPad where you have the actual scene playing and then move in. The timing is, this timing is already tricky. I can only imagine how much more trickier it is when you have actual motion pictures. If you do that, definitely let me know and send me that image as like a DM. Or if you try this, also let me know. I would love to see your work. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. If you haven't done so already, join the notification crew and subscribe by hitting that bell as well. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Have a good morning, have a good night, whenever and wherever you are around this beautiful planet, including all these movie locations. You may be around your corner somewhere. I don't know. Go check it out. The world is your playground. Okay, that's it. The scene to pick the right similar kind of time of day. Jesus, thought it was easy. All steady and follows the motions that we want it to move in.